Welcome back, everybody. We are now in the third part of the April 30 Southern Hemisphere Blooms Live Paris Rose. And we're getting closer and closer to looking like it's a real Parisian rose, that it could be exuding perfume, that it puts us in a beautiful place just to contemplate. So I might move my black and whites at this stage and put my color back up to remind us of what we're going for. Voila. Okay. And now I'm going to take you into and talk about the 7 steps of finessing. You might want a notepad for this. It is kind of good if you take notes. The more you can get this into your head, the better. Okay. I'm going to take you through the 7 steps of finessing around about now. Okay, so it doesn't really matter how your painting washes up, because we can apply the 7 steps of finessing. So you just got to think, I've just got to swim a little bit further and I get to the shore of making everything all right. So the 7 steps are: tidy the edges. You saw even on that little demo I just showed you, even though we weren't at the finessing stage strictly, I used that background as an opportunity to fix up my edges. And you saw how the whole thing just popped into shape. Did you see that? When I fixed up those edges and I got rid of the scruffy, rugged edges and I got more of the character of the petals, it just looked beautiful already. So that's tidying the edges. The other edges to consider is, you know, get the painting to go right round the corner. That way, if you have a client who wants to buy the painting, they don't necessarily have to pay for framing. They can just hang it as it is. There's a big difference to buying a bit of artwork for $350 and then having to spend another $300 on it for framing, or just buying an artwork for $350 or $380 and not spending anything further. Which is more attractive? The latter. Because sometimes a painting purchase, well, usually it's an unexpected luxury. People don't usually have a little bank account marked art expenses. It's an emotional decision. It's not a logical decision. And it's when someone falls in love with something or they need a lift. It's to do with how they feel and how your work makes them feel. So don't put them off by not dealing with your edges and adding an extra expense to them having the painting in order to hang it. Okay, the next one is lighten the lights and then darken the darks. So in no particular order, because it will depend on what your painting needs. And I'll show you how to assess that in a minute. If we make sure we have a good highlight and we have a good dark, that you're already going to be doing something incredibly differently to how most beginner painters work. Okay, most beginner painters are not good at being bold. They either have too much white on their brush when it comes to doing their darks, or they're too much dark on the brush when it comes to doing the light, or perhaps they're just feeling safer to paint in midtones rather than going into lovely darks and lovely lights as well as the midtones. The minute you have a good light and a good dark, the whole thing just pops into shape and it looks 3-dimensional. So if you can do those 3 things, if that's all you can remember, you're already going to be streets ahead of most people. However, we would also like you to have a look, I would also like you to have a look at correcting any shapes that are out. So if you know that you missed a petal at the top, let's have a go with your number 6 and see if you can get it back in. If you have lost a little bit of the wiggles on your petal edges, don't just make them up. Go in and match it to your photo and go, okay, this one is a bigger wiggle. It comes in, it's a bit of a space, and it's a tiny wiggle, and then it's got a little cut in. Okay, try and put in what you can see from your photo. And sometimes that relates to getting a shadow in that you've missed. It could be the shape of a shadow on a petal. There's lots of shapes within each shape you're probably finding. The next thing we want to do is enhance the color. Perhaps your first pass of color, it got close. Perhaps you didn't quite get some of the other colors in there that we wanted. Remember I talked about how it wasn't just one color fixes all. Just because you had a successful formula on one petal, it doesn't mean it's going to work the same for everything else. We needed to change gears as we did the color. So you got a chance to see how did you do with that. So some of the news I'm having to break with some of the students with showing their paintings are, they say, oh, I'm stuck with the color. Well, you haven't really given me anything other than a monotone. You know, you've picked a brown and a peach and a white, and that's it. You know, where are the lovely blush colors? Where does it go to the wheat, pale wheat colors? Where does it go to the coffee smoky colors in the shadows? Where does it go to a deep red on that under petal that's behind on the right hand side? Let's get the color in, and let's be brave about putting in what is really there when we match it. Now, another thing that can happen is that perhaps you didn't cover all your grays. I even do this. I've even got a painting that's on the wall of my gallery, and I realized, oh my goodness, there's a little bit of gray I didn't cover. Sometimes the gray, it might be a missing piece, because it's a similar tone and you didn't realize you didn't cover it. Or it could even be that there's some gray just sitting in between two shapes that you didn't quite get the brush down to. So we need to cover those up. Sometimes it's handy to have another little brush as well. I've got a little one here. I just bought this little brush in a cheap packet. I'll show you in a minute. But it's got a nice little point on it. Yes, it is synthetic, but it's only just for doing little bits of painting. I'm not trying to do my whole painting with it. So getting into those tricky bits. And then finally, if your blending was a bit on the rough side, if it was a bit skid marky, you know, sometimes when you introduce wet paint on top of dry, it doesn't sit into it, it sits on top of it. So I've got some tips for you on how to fix that at this stage. Is everybody good with those 7 steps?
Yes.
I'm now going to demonstrate them on the painting and talk further about some tools of this stage. Okay,
It's so good.
Great. I'm going to stop that share and start another one. I want to show you a thing that I call the BLOOMS foam slide. You can use a tablet for this. You can use a phone. Anything that's got an image is great. Okay. All right. Now, this is a really handy tool to have, because what happens is, oh, I have to press this, otherwise it will do something weird to me. You can't see that screen, can you, with the phone on it? No. No, you can't. Okay, so, sorry. So I've got to go out of that. Exit full screen. Oh.
Maybe unclick it.
Here we go. I'm back to me. Want to go full. Sorry, just sometimes that happens. Okay, so. Oh, I know. I'll go stop share. Of course. Duh. All right. I'm ready to go. Here we go. Here we go. Just wait for that little thing to happen there. I'm going to do a slide on this to see if it's worked, a device slide. So we're going to take a picture of Fill the whole camera image with it. Hold this up a bit, otherwise can you put your hand behind that hand? Otherwise the image is going to invert. That's it. Now that should. Okay. So if I flick between the two, yes. Sometimes a picture translates when you take a picture of the picture. Sometimes it overheats a bit because it's gone very orange there, which it didn't look in my photo. Not quite as orange as that. So you have to make the assessment of how much of that information you take on board. You don't want to suddenly have to tweak all your colors to an overheated photo. So you just have to check, is it close? Has it warmed up too much? Where do I accept the advice that it's important and where don't I? But what it is great for is tones, shapes, and shadows. So just do the slide. And the other thing is when your painting is bigger, than your photo. It's a great way of comparing apples with apples, putting them into the same system. Do get rid of any stuff that's around the picture. You don't want to have the picture of the photo and the picture of the painting surrounded by loads of clutter. Just want them the same size in the camera. See how I cropped out the background in each situation. Here we go again. Yes, the original is a lot more golden. You know what? I'm not unhappy with how it is. I think it looks pretty delicious.
Yes.
The only thing I don't love is like different colours that one goes behind there. Other one up a bit. What else don't I like? I think at the top I've got to fight for that a little bit harder to get those little crunchy bits at the top. I'll have to get my small paintbrush out and go cross-eyed. But look, I'm pretty happy with that. I like the way it is. Yes, I can, yeah, the other thing is I can make that little there a little bit darker than that one. So yeah, towards the end, I would just do this Bloom's iPhone slide. You can see the difference and you can decide what you would like to do. And it makes them both the same size within the same format, and that really helps. Okay. Okay, so once you've done your first pass of color, I would do the iPhone slide then. And then you can pick off that list of 7 things. What does your painting need the most? You'd be amazed how much of a difference it makes to get that background and bring it up to use it to crisp the edges. And then the other one to look at is, have you got your darks looking good? Have you got them dark enough? So that's a really good thing to do. All right. La la la. Okay, finessing. So we're going to go, where is the finessing? Where are you finessing? Right, yo. I just go have to look in a slightly different area. One sec. You're going to be down here. Blooms Live, Paris Road videos. Oh, I've emptied them out of there. Here we go. Hallelujah. I was giving myself a little fright then. Alrighty, so we're going to go with that one. Okay, we're going to start with, but not before I have stopped the share, found you guys again, started it, and off we go. Right, finessing. And there are 7 of tips. Can you hear that okay? Available.
Yes.
It's a bit quiet.
The tools I might mute you guys for a sec. Filbert brushes, because they're tapered edges. You might even want a little brush to get into some little areas. Try not to go down to a brush that's only got 2 hairs on it. I like a number 2 and I like a number 6 in the filberts for something like this, if I can. And the other thing is we often pre-gloss the area with the acrylic medium before we go in, so that it's lubricated and the new paint doesn't catch on the dry paint. Hang on, that's so important. I'm going to say it again. Now, you've got all this down. You're not far off. This is the finessing stage isn't about repainting everything that's not to your liking and hacking at your painting. It's about tweaking. Okay, so what we do is when we add wet paint onto dry, sometimes it can catch and it can create more problems for you because it doesn't look like it sits in there and it doesn't have a relationship with the paint that's already dried. It's got rigor mortis. It's never coming back to life. So what we do is we put a layer of gloss medium on with a damp brush. We just flick it into the area where we're going to work. And then we work on top of that and we start flicking the paint out, and we can, you know, feather that paint out to mix in and to land on top of that dry, what was dry paint, but it's been lubricated. Does that make sense? I'm going to say yes, it does, because I've got you on mute, but here we go. I just wanted to make sure you really got that point that we use a lot of this. We gloss the surface and you'll see me do it. So watch carefully. Another tool that we use is we often photograph the work. We just did this. So it's in the camera at the same size as the photo, and you can flick between the two. I call that the BLOOMS iPhone slide. It's very handy to see what's going on with your painting. Okay, and also I like to keep another brush handy that's clean, that has no paint on it in case I need to remove paint or tidy up an edge that didn't go down the way I wanted it to. So as well as putting on paint, you can actually use a paintbrush to remove paint as well. Super handy. All right, so where shall I start? Well, I've got a few greys left. So if we look at the 7 points of finessing, which one does it need the most? If we've got enhance the color, cover your greys, correct any shapes that are out, lighten your lights, darken your darks,
Edges.
and get rid of any squishy, scratchy blending. And there's one more that's up on the screen for us. Then the one that I think needs the most attention here, parts that are working here, I'm liking this. There's too much of a jump between here. I need to correct the color. So correcting the color will be key for this painting, and also covering the greys and cleaning up the edges, of course, was the other one that we need to do. So I find that the three most important ones are to clean up the edges, lighten the lights and darken the darks, followed by enhancing the color. That generally gets it. But I do think that if you cover your greys, the whole painting looks more nourished. Here goes. So first of all, I'm going to pre-wet so it's easy to get in there. Now I've got to try and match the same color. That's a bit of a terracotta color there that we've made.
Note how I pre-wet before I go in there with the paint. Because now I can flick the paint. It's not just going to grab and stop where it's landed.
Let's try that.
And I can get better control over the paint.
There's a bit of a thing I don't like there. There we go. That could do a bit more firming up with the paint just there.
I haven't repainted everything.
I've got this area here. Oh, any more of that color around? No, don't need to do that. So I'm going to make sure that my paint's not too wet when I go in with the medium. My brush isn't too wet, so I'm going to wet that area there. That's another bit that's missing.
Lubricate.
Make sure I've got some paint in the paint so it's not all medium. Then I've got something to perhaps cover this with. Still testing the color that I should use. Let's see how that goes. Now, here's a case for the paintbrush with no paint. I do find it quite hard to get a perfect edge sometimes, so you can use this to go in and clean up your paint. I don't like the blend there, so I can use that to soften it as well. There you go. Here's a bit where it's not very...
I'm just going to emphasize that, as well as having paintbrushes we apply paint with, another great tool for finessing is the paintbrush with no paint. That brush we can use to clean up paint or take some off if there's too much, or feather out paint. Because sometimes if you've still got loads of paint in the brush and you're going in to clean something up, you can't because there's so much paint still coming out of the brush. So having a dampened brush that's not too wet, but you can go in and you can park the paint but go and feather it out with the paintbrush with no paint, gives you bags and bags of control. And control helps you feel more comfortable with painting because you're getting more in charge of what you need to achieve more quickly. So great tip, pre-lubricating and using the paintbrush with no paint to tidy up edges as well when they're wet and to help blend. Here we go again.
Crisp. Not a very crisp edge. There we go.
This is where you can be picky. This is where your inner critic
That looks better. And
can
now
have
I'm
its
noticing
heyday.
in there, I'm just going to get clean off my brush. That needs a bit more of that terracotta. So yellow and red is an orangey colour, tiny bit of blacks. So along here, I can get a better edge. So I'm resting my wrist on the painting and swiveling the brush like that, pivoting the brush. Gives me a bit of control. If you're doing it from outer space and holding the brush in the air, you can get the shakes a bit. And so if you find that that's what happens, just rest. Sometimes your camera person knocks the table too, and that makes it interesting. That's horrible. And he's actually a painter himself. So he's ideal to film this a bit. Let's have a look. That's definitely looking neatened up in there, isn't it? Let's get a bit more of that chocolate colour on the go. I don't have a chance to tell Honey this, but we're just painting this whole painting from 5 tubes of paint. Everybody's doing lots of colour mixing, but you often do your portrait shoot with just a couple of colours, don't you? What colours do you use?
It's raining a lot here.
I've seen you do that. It looks awesome. You get amazing skin tones out of that. Yeah, there's so much you can do with a limited palette. Paintbrush with no paint. Okay, let's do an edge while we're here. So far I've covered some greys, cleaned up some edges. They're really the main things that I've done so far. And I've just reminded you about pre-glossing. See, this edge is a bit ratty over here. Let's get in close so we can really have a good look at just how ratty that is. That really lets down your painting. Now you can either go in with a paint colour and try and do the petal. So the first thing that I would do there is actually pre-wet the area. So
Do it both sides of the edge you want. So you've got plenty of room to moisten.
And I can either go in with the colour and see how it doesn't grab in the same way it did on the background before. Probably one was wet and one was dry. These little details make the difference. It makes your painting calm down. It's like going to a local park, grabbing your drunk off the bench, giving him a shave and a fresh shirt. Does the same thing for your painting. Not that I've done that, but you know what I mean. I'm just trying to suggest transformation here. This little scrappy bit there. And I'm just turning the brush, depositing that paint. That's an instinctive thing I often know where it is. Think about it. Painting does become second nature after a while. That actually edge is looking so much better now. Let's just stop that one there. We'll do another one.
Oh, okay. Okay, so do you have any questions at that point? I'm just going to unmute you all for a sec. How's that? Can you see it clearly? Can you hear it okay? Is that all right?
All good.
All good? Thumbs up?
Yep.
And is it now making sense why we don't have to worry so much at the start? We're getting it broadly down. It's at the end where we're doing the little tweaking.
Yeah.
So if you can hold off being precious till the end, it's really great for your painting. You can save yourself a lot of work too, and a lot of pain.
Just have a question about the timing between your first colour pass and then doing your finessing. Does it matter how long you wait, or are you better off trying to get it done quickly?
I don't mind at all. Like usually we'd get a painting done like this in a day. If we were working together. Obviously you're watching videos, so it takes time to watch them because I'm showing you a whole process. If we were in a workshop together, you wouldn't see that entire process. I'd be working with you, doing some on-the-spot fixes, getting you to watch those and so on. I'd be demoing what you had to do next, and I'd have some examples around. It would be a little bit different. So I'm actually going into a massive amount of detail here. So feel free that if you're feeling nervous, if you want to even play those color videos and do a bit and then pause and then do it yourself and just have a look at your colors. Are my colors where Jack's colors are? You know, if you want a handheld, you can do that. I mean, that's the beauty of the videos. So, you know, this first run through will just takes you a bit more time because you're educating yourself. However, when you go to do the painting, you can just have this as a reference to fall back on. And I would imagine your first pass of your drawing up will probably take you 15, 20 minutes max. Your first pass of color, including putting your paint out, will probably take you about an hour and a bit. And then I'd take a break. I'd have a coffee break or something to eat. And then I'd come back and I'd do your color blocking in as one sitting. I would try not to do it in two, just do it one. Now, it just depends how you are at that point in time. If you're working from home, maybe go for a walk, have a break, have lunch, give yourself an hour's break because you would have done a few hours of painting. So if you want to go into finessing after that, that's fine. But I need you to change your mindset before you go to finessing. I need you to say to yourself, I'm changing my plate. I'm not putting like masses of paint out. I need a fresh palette so I can keep my colors nice and clean. You're changing your mindset by changing your brushes. You're working more delicately instead of being an earth mover of paint. That's the main thing. I just need you to change tracks and go, okay, I've done all the hard grunt work and now I'm delicate. So I need you to make that leap by cleaning up your plate, changing your water, changing your brushes, get yourself a nice cup of tea, clean up your bench, and then start on your finessing. Okay, treat it like it's special because it is. Make sense? So, give yourself that little change and it'll make it better. Okay, any more questions and I'm good to go? Okay, I'm going to mute you all in a minute, but feel free to pipe up. Share screen.
I'm actually looking at the color. Stop the share, start the share. There it is. Here we go. Reference and thinking, gosh, my colors are really quite different. So how far can you stray? Well, the truth of the matter is nobody else is going to see your original reference when they're looking at the painting. So it's up to you how far you stray. But I guess part of what we love about this flower is the delicacy of the color. Things that bother me are the difference between these two colors. I think we could go for a bit more warmth in there. But what we're not doing is repainting the whole thing. We're tweaking. That's what we do at the finessing stage. We're tweaking. So let's give this a bit of coverage.
I'm lubricating, ladies. I'm putting the gloss medium on. Don't forget to do that before you bust a move at this stage.
I'm going to make it a golden yellow. So that means that it's yellow with a little bit
Makes
of
life a lot
red in
easier.
it. Pretty much bango, got it. No, not as rich as I thought. Okay, so I pre-wet, so that's making it very easy to blend into this. And that's coming up a treat. I don't love how it's going there, so once again, paintbrush with no paint to the rescue. There we are, loving that. I'm going to put a little bit of a warm flush down here. More yellow. Probably don't want too much more of that, so I've got to find a way to blend that in. Okay, so I can just use the medium now to blend that in, taking off the paint off my brush. I'll see how that goes, see if I can get that to sit in there nicely. Sometimes it looks like it's sitting on top. You might have to add a bit, mix up some of your paint that you've got in your background, but that is looking all right to me. I'm going to make up a creamy colour that's at the edge here, just in here. Let's see if I can get that in there. It's like a pale biscuity, fleshy colour. Okay, I'm going to remove the excess paint on that brush. Paper towel. Just tickle a little bit more white, something opaque into there. That will block out that show-through look underneath. I'm just teasing the paint out with the end of my brush very lightly. Some people tell me, oh, I don't know why I'm picking my paint up. It's coming off. It's probably because your paint's trying to dry and set and you're hassling the hell out of it. So a good idea is to go in, do what you can, and then go and work another area and come back later. Because as we know, it actually doesn't take very long for acrylic to dry. So you can come back in later and have another go. A bit on the dark side there, so I'm going to brighten. And it's fun trying to get these colours. You know, maybe you'll get them, maybe you won't. I know you'll all be doing your best and you'll come up with your version of the cafe au lait roll.
We're eager to paint.
Yes, I bet you're getting itchy fingers now. See how I'm teasing that paint? I'm teasing that paint into shape. Just because the paint lands one way, it doesn't mean you're stuck with it. It's nothing set in stone until it's dry.
It's the same as when you asked me, yours is only one answer. Great. Of course. Now, I probably do want to wet this.
Not long now and you can paint.
Using a bit of medium. Not too wet though. It would be really easy to make this squishy, scratchy. It doesn't go on smoothly. It's a little dark, a little more on the brown side. More gold into that bit. Colour changes. It's not the same all over. More light in over here. Things that are easy to change and they're fun to change because every little change you make at this stage makes a difference and the painting just starts to turn and it goes from a bit ugly to a bit gorgeous. Ugly duckling to the swan. Okay, so I've got the excess there. I think we're slightly darker in under here. Yeah, I think that helps quite a bit. Like that. A bit more. now I'm seeing that that's probably one of the darkest darks in it. And here probably has a little bit more light, a little bit darker in here and here on my one. So let's try that. The dark has got some colour vibrancy in it, so let's try that. Now once you get it done on the first pass, you're in a position to go back and tweak these till they're a little bit more to your liking. I'm just going very lightly off the tip. Oh my gosh, I'm using my finger, you didn't see that. It's an unofficial tool. More of a glow. Off the excess there. Use a bit of medium to really add a bit of pinky biscuit colour up there. So it's tweak, tweak, tweak. A little bit here, a little bit there. Like butterflies and bees going together. Okay. Harvest gradually, a little bit here, a little bit there. Just have faith and you'll gradually pull your painting.
Color mixing on the spot really, and altering on the spot. So softened edges, crisp edges, like I showed you.
There's another edge that's bothering me. I'm going to do a medium here, and I'm going to trim that. Now I had red and blue in the background colour before, so I'm going to go for that again with the black. Let's go in here and
Much better.
this liner. This is a bit of a yucky edge. This is so much better when, you know, we're only talking about a few little annoying bumps, but when you tidy them up, it just, you know, just thank you. Sometimes the paint didn't go down as evenly as you wanted. This could go down more into a point. Just grab a bit more paint, keep it there. And oh, a bit more of the colour. You know, honestly, if you just do all your edges, your whole painting is going to look better. If you're feeling a couple of remedies, if your painting's flat, it's usually you don't have a good dark and a good light. If your painting's looking ratty, it's usually because your edges aren't good. Look how good that looks, even though this isn't dissolved yet. It just looks better. Okay, Han, how long have we been going on that one? Okay, we're just about to just darken in here, and we'll give this the break and go on to another one. It just means it's easy to share. There we go. Okay, I'm going to have a chance to trim that again. Orange at the outside bit. Most petals have got colour within the colour. Okay, when I enrich this, this is warmer, and I've got it. A bit more golden yellow in here too. Lovely. And that should start to bring that little section to life a bit more. At the same time, I'm checking into more red writing here. Maybe I'm going to put some white in there. It's a bit jollier. Bit by bit, this thing starts to glow and dust issues.
It doesn't matter if you don't get it right first up. You can keep tweaking. It's all part of the pleasure of finding it. So I wouldn't make it wrong if it's taking you 5 or 6 goes. I just say it's part of the pleasure of finding the color and understanding the color that this painting is teaching you. You look at it as a journey of exploration and enlightenment. It changes it, doesn't it? It just means that you're getting closer each time. I'm doing a little blend between 2 colors there.
As I go out further, I'm having less paint on the tip, dumped it there. So now I'll use another brush rather than taking more paint in. I'll use a brush with no paint just to
Brush with no paint there,
map that in.
where I'm teasing out the paint. That's it, rather than adding more in, which would have made it a lot harder to get a result if I kept adding more paint. You can use a paintbrush to remove paint where you went over. And to clean the brush, that's it. Saves me repainting and color matching all over again. There's another one there, another a bit where I overdid it.
Cleaning out with another brush can save you having to colour mix. Again, quite liking that, but it is telling me that this needs to go lighter as we move over, so I'll do that.
Needing to even up the 2 colors a bit more between the 2. So I'm going to add a little bit more light on this side.
That's more cohesive. Sometimes when you're painting these petal edges in, they can look a bit sausagey, such as this one. Problem, sausages can be trimmed. Saucy wassies. See, everything can be fixed at this stage. A bit more of a highlight there. Park the paint and just gently tease it out. Wipe off the excess, just gently tease the edges.
Hi, darling, I'm just in my session.
Let's have a look. It's starting to glow a bit more now. Let's have a
Pardon?
Oh yeah,
Do what?
it's starting to get
Breeder?
that lovely biscuity glow about
Does
it.
through here.
Okay, we've got more to go, but we'll stop right there.
Just ring them until it's 8566 2020.
And we'll tell you what.
We'll be up in about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so I need to stop the share there. Okay, so you can see hopefully that you know, this is the part where the rays of golden light filter out of the clouds and everything's going to be all right, because all those little tweaks all add up. Can you see that? The thing's calming down. I always pick the thing that's the ugliest that needs fixing first, because it's grabbing all the attention, and the minute you fix that one, another one appears and you fix that. So you work out, every now and again, you've got to reassess out of the 7 steps. Don't just paint blindly. Go in with a reason. Go in with a reason of what you're going in to change. Don't just change it for the sake of changing it. Work off those 7 steps. It makes a huge difference. Can you see the painting turning into a swan, from an ugly duckling into a swan?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's
Not
encouraging.
mine.
Huh?
Mine, and I'm not to that stage yet.
Yes.
Still,
Yours
I'm
will
still
too.
black and white.
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
what will be
I think-
exciting is to get your colour down. If you can have a chance to do your painting over the weekend or even Monday. I'd actually like to do a little experiment at the end of this and just see if I can open the Facebook page, because I'll know then if I can use that on a Zoom Bloom if you put your paintings up there. Okay, so we're going to go on. We're going very well. I think we've got
That was 2. So I believe we've got just 2 more to go. Are you still with me? Are you falling asleep? Are you okay?
Ola, I'm good.
Still here.
Still here. Have another coffee. Get someone to bring you a coffee.
No, it's lovely. Lovely.
Oh, great. Okay, so learning lots, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Excellent. You know, it really lifts the veil on what's possible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have a, while this is frying, so I don't put my wrist. Finessing continued. Work the leaf area. So what am I doing? I'm lubricating, pre-glossing this area so that it won't make it too wet.
I was. She asked us.
Green, add a bit of red to make it
Right, and you just want me to upload it onto the. Yep. Yeah, no dramas. I'll give them a call this afternoon and see if they can give me an income schedule. If they email it to me, then I can upload it to you.
I'm after a good dart here. I want to take it right up to the edge. I did this with the other reference. I started doing this with the other reference. Okay, so I'm getting into that tricky bit. The difference of good crisp edge makes with it. Then you have a crisp edge, and you can do that by keeping up the flow medium.
Stream.
I think you have to mute everyone.
I do.
Thank you.
Here you go. Take the colour right out to the edge. See how this looks a bit shitty because my edges aren't in. So I'm going to do a better job with that. I'm making a little bit more ochre here, a bit more golden by using yellow with red. Red in with the yellow. Don't mind that. But I don't love the shape I've got, so. This one might make a bit of a brighter green. If you want, you can use cerulean blue instead of your ultramarine blue to get that brighter green. I'm good with this. Take the paint right up to the edge. Push it out just on the edge of the brush. It tears it out. Take control. Not necessarily lots of paint on the end of the brush at finessing. Less paint than the other 2 stages. I'm working off the tip of the brush mostly. Yeah, better appearance there. With a bit of opaque paint in it. On the edge there, it looks more definite. Okay. You can watch these videos as often as you like. Let's make this a sausage and blob free zone. And once that's lines around the edges, we want delicate edges. You can always trim your paint if you've accidentally made a sausage.
So Jack, do we have all these in the schedule?
Yes, not only do you have the individual videos for the colour, I've put them up there for the colour because I think that's where you need them the most. Although I didn't promise it, I thought afterwards, you know what, how useful would that be for you? Rather than having to go all the way back through your Zoom to find something.
Right. Thank you.
But your Zoom session, this session will also go up online with the date. So you're the April 30 Southern group. Bit of leaf.
Usually the southern group get a little bit more time just because it's their daytime, whereas I try and make it a little bit more compact for the northerners.
I don't love that shape. That.
Like I actually haven't given that little mentoring session to anybody, so they all vary a little bit. So, you know, if you want to go back and review, maybe, you know, after you've seen your one once, you might want to review listening to another one. If I crack the same jokes, I apologize in advance. Some of them are pre-recorded. Oh dear.
Jack, is it normal for the video to be jumping? Like it's not very smooth, it's jumping while it's
It might be a transmission thing, which is also another reason why it's really great if you can go into the members area. These videos are up there waiting for you now.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see them without having gone through Zoom. You'll be able to see the direct versions of them.
I hold my breath. You could tell in my eyes, by looking in my eyes.
I'm talking about an iridologist who could tell I was holding my breath when I painted.
Stop a flow of oxygen. He said, you know what? It's okay to paint and breathe. You can do both. Little fine detail.
Good idea.
I still hold my breath, and I have to remind my students to breathe as well. Don't forget to breathe.
When those edges are crisp, that thing just say thank you. Okay, so there's that bottom area looking pretty good. Oh, actually, I don't love that shape. I'm looking at things and you don't see them sometimes. Okay. Got a little bit of red in the shadow. Looks pretty good. And yes, I think I might have used a tiny bit of artistic license there. I'm happy with that. Now, is that dry up here? Okay, we'll finish that one.
Okay. So bit by bit, we're getting there. One more to go, ladies. Let's go and have a look to see what this one does.
Okay, I've just put a little door down. Kind of thinning it out and blending it out. Sometimes there's colour and light reflected in.
So what I've done is I've looked at that picture and I'm going, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that tone looks, but there's a little bit of colour within the colour in the shade there. There's a bit of a warm glow. So I've made up a bit of a golden colour. I've popped it on and now I'm teasing it out into the paint. I'm not sure if I'm using a paintbrush without no paint. I just might rewind that and have a look. So let's see what I did. Because it's oh, sorry, my
Okay, I've just put a little daub of yellow there and I've started thinning it out and blending it out just so I get a bit of.
Not much paint on the brush.
Colour and light reflected in the shadow. So I wanted to try and get that. Just a little bit of paint. So, you know, we do have to control how much paint is on our brush. Go in like an elephant on safari. At this stage, it's using a little bit effectively. Like that. And sometimes if you just pack the paint, take it off your brush, and then just use the brush to mold something in really well. Okay, so delicate beauty order of the day. Just over here, I feel this could be a bit more biscuity toned, and I've got it. Making the flesh of colours again. You can be a master of these colours by the time you're painting. And I often think it's a good idea to paint a series because it just makes it much more proficient painter rather than I did that once. Hey, do it another 2 or 3 times. Do some variations. The expert. why not? Now I'm cleaning off the brush. I'm grabbing some more paint. Go in lightly, a little bit more white.
I think this painting would look beautiful with a duck egg blue too background. A dark duck egg blue if you wanted a bit of
I've
variety.
really got too much paint on the brush. Right. Improve the quality of the paint.
Thinking about that this morning.
Wipe off the excess. I don't want any more paint than that because I can spread what I've got there. Leave most of it parked at the edge. Moving, stop doing that edge in. Stop the edge. So that's how we control our paint. Now I don't love how shitty that edge looks. So shitty being a technical term. Hot shit is also shit hot is also a technical term when you've done something really well. That's fine too. Don't consider that rude in these here parts. Looking at my picture, I try to go in a tad there.
It always looks a bit rougher close up. It's not an airbrush, is it? It's a painting.
These little shapes
It's a robust thing.
do play a part. They do make your painting look richer. Make sure you smooth that in. Cover the shoulders. I'm going to get rid of it. Oh shit! Pardon my French. Now I have to have bleeps on that. Right. Be careful you don't do what I just did, smudge a bit that you've done. Paint would have a bit of show through there, so I fix that. So now, even just with doing a couple of tiny little things around here, this area to me, this is looking done, this is looking done, this is looking done. So it's really the top half of the painting. And I'm actually going to turn it upside down because that is wet.
Here you go. For the person who asked me, wouldn't it be easier?
I'll turn my reference upside down.
What a good idea.
Hopefully that will help me to be more scrumpled up there.
Yeah, I'm using paper towel that I've dampened with a bit of greaseproof paper over the top. That way I can just chuck those out, not the plastic plate.
Okay, so
Don't have to pollute the world.
this area is looking like it needs help. So you can see that just doing that lower part that is now working just required lots of little delicate tweaks. Okay, so I really slowed down everything. Probably even my breathing slowed down when I was doing that. Righty-o. I'm happy with that. Is that perfect? No, but I don't mind it. I think it looks pretty good, that area. It's this area that I'm not loving. It's too cold. I've gone too pale, not enough biscuit tone. So I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm going to use my number 2 filbert. I'm trying even a number 6 to make sure I've got all the water off the handle. That's it. I'm supposed to follow my own advice, so here we go. I'm going to pre-wet it. I think I just did that actually. And I'm going to introduce a bit more warmth. Give it a bit of a blush, and it's slightly deeper and richer in that crease. So in I go, my golden tones. bit more white in that mixture and make a nice segue there. Yellow. White. Keep going till I get it to my liking. Yes. Okay, so I'm just keep looking at the picture and seeing what I can do to match that.
That's coming together, that bit. And because the surface is wet and the paint is wet, it's, you know, I can flick those colors into each other. It's malleable, I can move it around. So when the paint's all dry, you can't do that. You've got to keep the flow up at this stage. Otherwise you'll create skid marks, which are very unattractive anywhere. Dry sandpapery looking paint, and we don't want that. So this is how you get your paint to look like it's nice and moist. Keep it in flow, nicely finished. You can flick it and it will just look good. So I'm teasing that paint out, just lightly, lightly with my tip. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Tickling that paint.
Let's get more cookie over there. What I need is a decent edge, so let's get a bit more white. I'll go in and try and get that. Flick, 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 flick. Remember to breathe, of course. It's a handy thing. No point in having an artist who's on the floor because they forgot to breathe. Just try and make up a slightly smoky colour. I'm trying to put my finger on what it is. Okay. So a little bit more tone there. Sips on a tone. Quickly make a smoky colour and put into the crease there. Still on my number 2 here.
Edges, what a difference they make. Always look at the photo for your information. Don't make it up. Paint the odd little shapes you see. Try and match the color. Smoky chocolates up there.
Usually I'm just tidying up what I've got. Okay, we need more tone over that side. More light. Doesn't pay to go in with truckloads of paint. Let's strike a balance between having enough so it's not mingy and not too much that you
lose control of creating those shapes you want. Okay, it's a bit warmer down here. Even just tidying your edges make a big difference. Even if we don't know exactly what those shapes are doing, it will look better. I'm going to turn the painting up the right way in just a sec. How about now? And see how we're going. Well, that looks pretty good. It's a little clumsy up there. I really need to look at the shapes, but you can see that even just tidying the edges has made the world of difference. There's one that's bugging me. That's better. So, all right. So I've probably got a little softener to go on there. Just quickly do that. And then we're going to bow off this one. And then if you make these too long, you don't get a chance to catch up. I think we're just about finishing and you see something else. I'm going for a quick wee while that's just finishing for the last 2 minutes. One sec. Medium. Oops, I got white in that. I thought I cleaned it sufficiently, but no. And don't forget, if you don't get that edge right, you can bring the other brush back with the other way that has no paint on it. Use the opportunity to shape your petals and paint. And my colour's slightly out there, so I have to get some black in there and blend it. Let's have a look. Now that's pretty good. I can fight for that a bit more, but... Wow, doesn't that look good? Looks much better further away than close up. And I'd like you guys to have a go. So that's how we're looking at the moment. Get a nice close up of that one. Have a bit of a glide over it. Oh, it's a little bit that needs fixing there. Okay, so my paint doesn't look perfect close up sometimes, but when you stand back, the whole lot comes together really nicely. Over. Yeah, it looks all right, doesn't it? And I'm only, you know, we're only hovering 2 feet above the painting here. So have a go and let's see what you do. Okay, so any questions? I can't wait to see what you do. Who's excited to give it a go?
Absolutely.
Very excited.
Take in.
So what's going to happen next is that when you go and have a go, these videos will come to me and I'll be able to get them uploaded. They go through a process. They arrive to me. I've got to then download them, put them somewhere or other else, supply a link to my techie, and then when she's in another time zone, she puts them up for me.
in that section. So it might be a couple of days. So by all means, use any of the other Zoom recordings while you're waiting, unless you want to wait for the one where you're in. And then you've also got the individual videos for the color and the finessing. So there's three for the first pass of color. And just remember that's your nuts and bolts getting it in.
Okay.
And then you've got your finessing, and that's 4 videos, about 20 minutes.
Like, I've got a question. Can I ask?
Please.
So, you know, with the photo that we have, or the photo that I have,
Hang on.
is
I might mute everybody. Can you unmute yourself just because there's so much background stuff going on? Just unmute yourself and just ask me the question. There you go. That's better. And I can hear. Sounds like a crazy party. It's Halloween.
yeah. So with the photo that I have, it's more apricots, and is that just the way it's printed out, or is the actual Paris rose and antique apricot colour, or is it more pinks, or is it just your interpretation?
It's a chameleon. You can see I've got 2 paintings here, right? The first one, it was more on the orange and gold ochres and a bit more of a blush in there.
Right.
This one, the lower one, seems to have more golds, browns to blush. They're really chameleons. They change color everywhere, and I think that's what's wonderful about them.
Yes.
It's a little bit like going to the David Jones makeup counter at Revlon and looking, or Chanel or something, and going, oh, look at those lovely foundation colors. How attractive they all look. And then the blush colors, and then, you know, you go into the dark eyeshadows of the browns and the naturals and all that. It's all those colors are in there. So you have a look and see what you can see. I think that my representation is pretty close to what it was, but, you know, have a look at the others too. They're all coming out slightly differently. So this is the fun of it. I've given you 3 so that you've got 3 chances to explore the colors. This is definitely warmer. Actually, the shapes are simpler. Okay, the shapes are a lot simpler. This is the one we've done today, and it's got lots of smoky tones in there. This doesn't have as many smoky tones. So have a go and see what you think, because I've given you a few so you can explore the range. What you'll find is you probably have somebody walking in and wanting to get one off you. So if you do, flog it, sell it, pay for your course and a couple of canvases, and then do another one. I mean, that's how you become really good at something. Sometimes I had runs on paintings. I had a run on hydrangeas, and I became really great at painting hydrangeas. I had massive runs on cream roses and peonies and coffee colored roses, and became really good at those. I had runs on red roses, and, you know, I don't know where it came from, but it's almost like, oh, well, it seems to be the season of red roses. Everybody who's seeing my red roses out there is suddenly wanting to order them. And so by dint of the fact that I just had to paint so many of them and varied them, and the compositions were different every time, so new challenges within the reds or within the coffee colors or whatever each time, I just became better at it. And that's how you become a good painter, not just doing it once, but taking the challenge and nearby. And that's why I've given you 3. I haven't done my 3rd one yet. Feeling a bit guilty, actually. Might have to whip that out. But, you know, I've given you 3 so you can really get great value out of this exercise. I've, you know, taking you through incredibly thoroughly over one, and doing one, following it very closely should give you all the training you need to get the other one done. And then the 3rd one is a spiral. Yes, it's a little bit more complicated when it comes to these shapes down here. But what you do is you obviously work your big ones, and as many of these shapes as you can see what they are. And then, you know, pick out your landmarks, like you'll be able to see what that is, and just work them one at a time, count them back. Okay, well, that's over there, that must be that one. You work it out off your photo. So that's really the only challenge that's different on that one. And I feel that you'll be able to do it after you've done the other 2, and you'll really love the challenge. So, I don't think I've seen anybody who's done the 3 yet. I'm surprised that Sylvia, one of my a painter in Germany, hasn't done all 3 yet. I'll have to check in with her. Pretty diligent. That's how you really kind of squeeze the juice out of it, because you'll be mixing colors in a similar colorway but different each time.
And so
Yeah.
don't worry if they're not exactly the same. Nobody's coming up to tap you on the shoulder at the traffic lights and say, hey, it's about that painting. You didn't quite get the colors. They're not interested in that. They're going to respond to how you responded. That's what we're looking at here.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thanks, Jo.
Hey, no worries. I might end the recording here, but I still will just be here for a sec. I want to try something as well with everybody. So thanks very much, everybody, for Southern Hemisphere, April 30. I hope that's been useful. And I'm available. You can Facebook message and ping me the paintings, but always great if you can put them up on the page so that any advice I give, everybody benefits from, because everybody's secretly sitting there going, I wonder what Jack might say about mine, and it gives them courage to post theirs too, and we all learn from each other's as well, so it's really cool. So I'll time out of the recording. Yannick is also going to send you some information in case you've loved this, and you know how to think. The How to Paint Blooms is open at $6.79 for 52 weeks e-course, which is ridiculously cheap actually, for another couple of weeks, but it is going to change the minute we finish dotting our T's and crossing our I's and all that bonus information. All the bonus information, we get to have it at the $6.79 price because we're in the process of uploading and we're not perfect yet. We haven't got it perfect, but once that's perfect, I'm definitely putting the price up. I think it's been undercharged for ages, but I still like to make it accessible. But this is like supersizing it with at least 3 video sequences. So it's a super great course already, and we're supersizing it. You get that for free when you do the Blooms Masterclass and the Make Money from Art program. It's included as a bonus. So yeah, all that information we can supply to you. Just let us know. Yannicka has got it all, and I'll work out what she needs to send out, and we'll send something to you. It makes for interesting reading to see what other people do as well from the program. So thank you very much. If this is your first time with me, thank you so much for trusting me and for coming on the journey. I always feel very moved when people have the courage to paint. It's a wonderful thing. I feel quite emotional when I think about that, because I remember what it was like for me. And I am here just because the lesson's finished. I've got that page and we're open. I will run another one in another couple of weeks if you know anybody else who wants to come along. And I will continue to comment. I'm going to run a Blooms Zoom very soon, just on the results. So with that in mind, I just want to see, if you don't mind, before we go, I want to see if we can actually call up the Facebook page, whether it will let me do that. Or yes, it looks like I can go into, I don't know whether you can see that page. Can you see that page? Not yet?
Yeah.
We can see your Zoom page,
Oh,
You can, my Google page?
correct?
Okay, can you see my Facebook login? Because I want to know whether I can work off the Facebook page when I do the Zoom Blooms. Login.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I'm looking for Blooms. So you're able to follow me as I move around here. That's pretty interesting.
Correct, yeah.
That's so good. This is all new. We're just still driving the vehicle. Learning how to drive. Blooms Live, come on, give it to me. Put it under groups. Oh my God, Michelle Fadiga's painting. Did you just see that? I might just have to go back and show you that. This is one of my students in the Make Money from Art program. She just posted this. Want to see this?
Oh. Wow.
Look at that. Can you see it?
Oh, wow, it's beautiful.
So by day, she's a nail technician. And she's got a bit more time at the moment, and that is one of her most awesome paintings I've seen.
Wow.
There's some pretty good ones.
I didn't even like a painting.
I'm just going to write,
Oh, gosh.
that is outstanding. Okay, so she's been with me for a couple of years, and she started with, you know, as a beginner from scratch. So it's just a matter of just staying with it. And you'll know whether you want to do it or not, whether you're hungry to do it or not, whether you can't wait to do your next painting and see what happens next. You know, you have that feeling of curiosity of wanting to go further. So, okay, Blooms on Live, here we go. See if we can go in. I just couldn't resist showing you that because it sprung up. So this is our Blooms Live. Yes, it looks like we can go into here. So this is going to be a great way for us to review the work, and I can give comments. So if your painting's up here next week, when we do the Zoom Blooms, you will get covered. And I will be able to say, you know, can you see my cursor running around?
Can you see that? My little cursor at the
Yeah.
hand.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So I'll be able to say, oh, look, this bit here needs to go a bit lighter. Looks like your paint strokes could go up and down instead of across. We could trim our sausages here. We could make this a bit smokier. That line is a little bit of a hard outline. Can we soften it off? You know, how useful is that going to be? Very?
Yeah.
Take it as far as you can, and then I can go through with everybody and give them tips and talk about the paintings. Now, the other one I want you to know about is a new page I've got, which is I opened this last week because I just thought a lot of people at home and unable to go out, and they don't necessarily have a lot of art materials. So I thought, hey, I can give you something that doesn't compete with my actual product that I make a living from. I can't give it all away for free, but I can certainly give you stimulation. I've given everybody this free color exercise. You have that too. You've got the videos. If you want the print down copy, you can go to the website that I mentioned. But people are already gathering their furniture and having some fun. We're going to get ready. I made some templates last night that we're about to upload. Have a look at this. This is from France. It's what's called a carton. It's it's an underpainting for a tapestry. They used to have guys that used to just spend all their time painting the cartons. The great thing about it is the colorway is already sorted. Yes, you can make your background darker if you want, but you've got a colorway that actually works. You don't have to think about it. I've made up a template for everybody to download for free. I've made three different designs, and you can use this on your furniture. So super cool. I've got to get going on mine very shortly. We also shared our favorite gardens. So people are putting in stunning stuff. The best color fan in by 5 p.m. on Friday, tomorrow. I've got 3 books to give away. I may be giving away more. There's so many good ones. And I just pop up and have a bit of a chat every now and again and throw up some stuff for you. Yeah, so look, here's one of our paintings from the class, looking pretty shit hot. I think that gets the shit hot title. That's awesome. See, you know, there's a point where my students just paint incredibly well. I should just hang up my skills. I'm good at teaching. If I can get this result out of people, so good.
Very cool.
Yes, I'm very proud of them all. So anyway, that's that. Feel free to join that. You just need to answer a few questions when you join. Just let me know what you need in a quick questionnaire. I think there's 3 questions. And I post lots of inspiration on here. Look at that woman. She's gone to town on her color charts.
Wow.
Wow. Now that woman's hungry to go. It's great. So yeah, feel free to access that page. I think you'll really enjoy it. I'm going to start painting a piece of furniture and put the video footage of it up as well. So there you go. That's what I have for you. I've actually got to conclude as well because I've gone way over time, but I've enjoyed myself thoroughly and I've enjoyed all of you. And thanks for sharing your stories and sharing what's going on. And thanks very much to Julie for sharing her inner critic, because that led us to a very fruitful little session there.
Thanks, Jack. It's been great.
Oh,
Nice
good.
seeing you.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Well, I'll see you in the final results shape up anyway. Even if you haven't got yours finished, you can still be watching that.
And we can send our little swatches in.
Yes, send your swatches into the Blooms Art School online. I've got my book going up for grabs. I don't have one I can hold up in front of you. I didn't think to do any marketing at the end of this. But perhaps Yannicka can send info about that in case you want to order one. It's about how I left the corporate world and became an artist and how I made that transition from not feeling that I knew what I was doing to finding my way with becoming a painter and an artist. I brought up my 2 children in a small country town from the get-go when I came over here to the Barossa from my paintings. So all my life and all the way that even supporting my daughter to go to Paris is all based on my paintings. If somebody turns around and says you can't make money from art, tell them bullshit. Because you can. People need paintings on the walls, and This is a really beautiful subject matter that's evergreen and people love it. So I really hope you roll like pigs in the mud with this and really enjoy yourself and get stuck in. All right.
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Jack.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. If you've got any
Bye.
questions,
Thank you.
if you've got any more questions, just ask them on the page and I'll answer them.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks very
Not
much.
sure we'll look on the
Bye.
screen. We'll look up there.
Bye.
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 Bye. Okay, so that was good to know about the Facebook too. Okay, so I'm off and out. I've got to go and meet my techie to help me on some things. So lots of love to everybody.
Bye, Jack.
Bye. Bye, Yannicka.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, girls.
Bye.